All right, everyone, welcome to the Tonto's Demise Week 14 recap. I almost said 13. 14, not too much to talk about. Only two matchups. First week of the playoffs. Gags had a bye. Tree Size had a bye. Fortunately for Tree, and possibly unfortunately for Gags, even though you finished first place for the regular season and you make some money off of that, but your team scored over 200 points, so that's never good to have them go off when you don't need them, because who knows what's going to happen the week coming up here. Never likely to repeat huge performances 2 weeks in a row. Possible, but not always plausible. Anyway, first matchup was the Dub C Hooligans, the number 3 seed, going up against the number 6 seed, Chips My Boy. And Dub C took this one down. He actually had over 200 points. Final score was 208.05 to 166.2. For Dub C, problems early. On Sunday, Andy Dalton goes down after a couple completions and an interception. He only had 3 points, but McCarron came in, immediately threw a 65-plus yard touchdown to A.J. Green. You also had Alan Hearns get a long touchdown. You had John Brown get a long touchdown. So you actually ended up getting about 48 points, 47 or 48 points from the Bengals quarterbacks, which definitely was a huge factor here. It kept you on pace with Chips My Boy, who got almost 52 points from Carson Palmer on Thursday night. Thursday night matchup, mentioned this last week. It was a big one for both of you guys. Like I said, Carson Palmer put up a good game. Michael Floyd, good game. Even Catanzaro, the Arizona kicker, pretty good game. So between the three of them, you got, 52 and 21 is 73, 80. You got about 85 points just from those three. That's a great start. Unfortunately, Dub C also had one of your Arizona receivers, John Brown, who had almost the exact same score as Michael Floyd, since he had the long touchdown bonus. Oh, yes, Carson Palmer got the long touchdown bonus as well. Forgot to mention that. But unfortunately for Chips My Boy, the rest of his team did not do much else. Said Alan Hearns, he had an 80-yard touchdown. That was practically all of his production on Sunday, easily defeating Amari Cooper, who scored 0. Not what you're hoping for in the playoffs. When it's win or go home, you'll have to write him an angry letter. And also to Jordan Matthews, who got you just under 5 points. Easily defeated. Well, okay, let's looking at this comparable then to Brandon Cooks, though, for Dub C, who got just under 6 points from Brandon Cooks. Jordan Matthews. So a 1 point difference between those two receivers. Brown and Floyd pretty much equaled each other. Big difference there was Hearns getting, 22.5 to Cooper's 0. Then for your running backs, not much for Spencer Ware, not much for Chris Ivory. Well, actually, he went over 100 yards. Sorry about that. But Adrian Peterson, he had a tough matchup against Arizona. He did score a touchdown, but he also lost a fumble. He had just under 70 yards. While for Dub C, most of his production at running back came from Lamar Miller, who had 2 touchdowns and 89 yards. So good game from him, giving Dub C another advantage at running backs here. So obviously, when the point differential was about 50 points here, so Dub C beat you in pretty much every area. Let's see, tight ends, Gronkowski versus Julius Thomas. Gronk took this one by about 2 points. Chandron versus Devontae Freeman. Almost the exact same score, 7.1 to 7.2. Kickers, almost exactly the same also. I think Gostowski had about 12. Catanzaro, a couple field goals. I can't remember how many fraction points we got tacked on to there for you, but then big difference here also is the Carolina defense for Dub C. They shut out the Atlanta Falcons. So that's 15 points there. I believe the total was once again 47, which the Carolina Panthers defense has been on a roll past few weeks. They've been scoring up in the mid to high 40s a couple times the past few weeks. While even though you got a pretty good game from Green Bay's defense, they only gave up 7 points, had a couple turnovers, a couple sacks. Just not enough. I think they gave up a decent amount of yardage. Not nearly enough to keep pace with that 47-pointer from the Carolina Panthers defense. So really just obviously Dub C went over 200 points, so he got solid production up and down his lineup. Like I said, almost 50 from his quarterback. Receivers, 20 and 20 from 2 of them. 20 from a running back, almost 20 from Gronk, and 47 from both your quarterback and your defense. So that's going to be usually enough to put you over the top. As for Chips, my boy, unfortunately, I realize we've been talking about this all year, and I do realize that it's just pure coincidence and chance and luck or whatever you want to call it, but the Devontae Freeman effect. It makes me to see this have actually played out all season long and have actually stayed true all year. It just makes me really happy to see for some reason. I really enjoy seeing it. But anyway, Chips, my boy, all season long, when you started Devontae Freeman, which wasn't always because he didn't start at the beginning of the year. You didn't use him. But then he took off. Maybe it was week 2 or 3. But so he missed a week from his bye. He missed a week from his concussion later in the season. But all the weeks that you did have him in your starting lineup and he scored a touchdown or 2 or 3, you won. But if he was in your starting lineup and he did not score a touchdown, you lost. Even if, him not scoring a touchdown clearly wasn't the difference in that matchup. Like even here, you lost by 50 points. It doesn't matter. The effect stays the same. If he scores, you win. When he doesn't, you lose. So, and that's every matchup all season long has gone that way when he's been in your lineup. I just find that very entertaining. I don't know if anybody else really does or cares, but for me, it is, as you can tell. Anyway, so Dub C, the number 3 seed, knocks out the number 6 seed. Chips, my boy, you had a good season. You were up and down quite a bit. Take a quick look since you are now gone. We'll take a quick look at your team, see what we can see here. Chips, you started off 0-2. Tough spot, but then you won, you won 4 in a row. Then you lost 2 in a row. So you were very streaky. Then you won, so you lost 2, you won 4, you lost 2, you won 2, and then you went loss, win, loss to end the regular season. Let's see. You're one of the few teams who did not score over 200 all year. Your highest score was 185. You hit the 180s a couple times. Let's see. Your lowest score was 117. But that was your lowest score by far. You had a couple 130s, but you were always in the 145 to 150. Well, no, let's see. More often than not, you were in the 150 to 180 range. Much like, let's see, Twerk and Bowl Cuts. He was in that same area pretty much every week. It's because, I think, used to say about 150 was what you needed to get a win. That point total has been creeping up every year. So right now, if you're scoring about 160 every week, that's a coin flip if you're going to get the win or not. It really depends on the matchup and what the luck of the draw is for that week. Let's see. Chips, take a look at your roster here. You were definitely up and down all year. I mean, you had Adrian Peterson, #1 overall pick. You had Ivory as one of your keepers. Jordan Matthews didn't quite work out as well as expected as your other keeper. But you really nailed it early on, especially early on in the season, obviously with Devontae Freeman. Although he did really trail off as the season went on. Weeks 3, 4, 5, and 6 he was really huge. He was over 30s, in the 40s too. Then he went back down to the high teens, low 20s. Then he had his bye week. Then he got hurt. He missed a week. So I think the game in which he got a concussion, he didn't really do much. Then he went out early, missed a week afterwards. So two out of 3 weeks there, he was either got you 0 or he got you less than 5. So that hurt. Let's see. I think I said you went loss, win, loss over the last weeks of the season. Let's see. So yeah, you didn't. I'm just sorry. I'm just trying to look here and figure out to make sure I wasn't wrong about the Freeman effect. But anyway, yeah. If we were looking at this, middle to late October, early November, your running back core was practically unstoppable. But unfortunately, Devontae Freeman had trailed off with his touchdown scoring, really trailed off. Adrian Peterson, he was solid all year. Ivory, hit or miss, but mostly hit. I think he did pretty good. He didn't go over 100 yards a whole lot, but he scored touchdowns fairly consistently for you. Looks like he has 7 so far this year. Not too bad. You didn't have Julius Thomas early on in the season. Going back and forth with your quarterbacks, you had Sam Bradford, Carson Palmer, juggling defenses all year long. I think those hurt you at some points during the season. So really just a lot of... your team was good. You just had some bad luck. Not too much you can do about that. Let's take a look at your matchups. You had some close ones. Some close losses. Let's see. Final week of the season, that could have helped you. Let's see. Yeah, if you had not fallen to the number 6 seed in week 13, if you would have stayed number 5 and the Isotopes would have gone down to if they had stayed number 6, you would have actually beaten Vanilla. You would have beaten Vanilla, and Dub C would have knocked out the Isotopes. But that was not to be, as you had that 5-point loss in week 13. I see you had a 4-point loss along the way. You had a 2-point, 3-point win. Actually, it looks like you had 2-point wins in a row. Other than that, everything was decent. But Chips, like I've said before, we all want to get to the top and be the champion, but 11 of us go home disappointed every year, and only one person gets to raise the trophy. Unfortunately for you, it won't be this year, but good luck for you getting ready for next year. I don't know why I just said that. That sounded like a real dick thing to say, like good luck getting ready for next year. I don't know what I'm wishing you good luck for. Good luck in life for the rest of this year and the off season. Enjoy yourself, relax. Maybe you and the Hubers can get together. Maybe brainstorm, get ready to figure out a plan to come back in 2016 and squash the competition. So, all right, Chips, my boy. Thanks for a good season, and we'll see you back again next year. As for Dub C, you move on, and you will be facing the 2 seed, Possum Magic, in week 15. Other matchup, we had the Springfield Isotopes going up against Vanilla, and the Isotopes took this one down. Final score 185.9 to exactly 157. Let's see. Isotopes, good scores up and down the lineup. Put in Winston over Alex Smith, rolling the dice there, hoping that since it looked like Alex Smith was going up against the Chargers defense and Phillip Rivers, who had his receiving core pretty much depleted. The game was in Kansas City, so I expected it to be a low-scoring affair with the Kansas City defense pretty much dominating San Diego, which means the Chiefs' offense didn't have to do too much, which ended up being the case. So went with Winston at quarterback. He actually scored just only a few more points than Alex Smith. Fortunately, it didn't matter. He had 33.5, while Tom Brady for Vanilla got 42.5. Wide receiving core, fairly equal between, a slight advantage for Vanilla between Eric Decker versus Julio Jones, 15.8 to 20.4. So about a 5-point advantage there. You had Antonio Brown going against Randall Cobb. Cobb actually took this one by about a 1.5. So far, you got about a 10, 5, and 1. So about a 16-point advantage there. But the New England defense took away DeAndre Hopkins from the Houston Texans on Sunday night. Pretty much dominated that game and took him away from the offense. So the other players had to step up, and they weren't able to do too much. I don't know if anybody watched that game, but they also got a ton of pressure on the Houston quarterbacks. According to the lineups here, it ended up being Golden Tate versus DeAndre Hopkins, and Tate actually scored 2 touchdowns and outscored Hopkins by 20 points. So that swings it back into favor of the Isotopes here. Ryan Matthews and Charkandrick West versus Forte and Sproles. Vanilla took this one because both Forte and Sproles scored touchdowns and each had just over 40 yards rushing. So you got about 10 points from each one of them, while Matthews only had 38 rushing yards and West 54. No touchdowns, though. Tight ends, though, huge advantage to the Isotopes. 27 for Jordan Reed, while Jordan Cameron only had 6.5. I believe I read on Yahoo Jordan Reed was the highest scoring tight end in the league this week. Flex spots, Jarvis Landry versus Tavon Austin. Landry took this one down by 12 points, 20.9 to 8.9. Let's see. Austin had 40 rushing yards, but only a couple catches for 20 yards. Landry, 11 catches for just under 100 yards. Kickers, let's see. Gano had 5 field goals, or not 5 field goals, 5 PATs and a field goal, while Robbie Gould actually missed a field goal and only had a couple 3 PATs, but 1 gets taken away for the missed field goal. Defenses, we had Seattle and the Jets. They actually ended up both scoring pretty close to the same. I think the Jets had a slight advantage thanks to sacks and turnovers. Each one gave up, so Seattle only gave up 6 points. Jets gave up 8. I think they ended up both giving up a lot of rushing, or not a lot of, they gave up a lot of passing yards. I think they both were too much, but they both gave up very low rushing yard totals. So I think each team got 9 points for that. Jets, I think they kept it within the range for first downs, and so they had more sacks than the Seahawks defense. So you had a slight advantage there, not too much, but like I said, the receiving core getting not too much from Hopkins was a huge difference maker here. Said Golden Tate getting 2 touchdowns, that 20-point difference, and the 20-point difference between tight ends, and the 12-point difference between flex players, Landry and Austin. That was enough to take this one down, as the total difference was about 29. For Vanilla, we say goodbye to you. You finished the season in 4th place. You were clearly you were the 4th seed. Well, Isotopes were number 5. Vanilla, strong team, up and down, all your lineup. You had a good. Jay had 2 teams in the playoffs this week. Unfortunately, both of them, 2 teams that he drafted, both went down this week. So that's doubly as disappointing for Jay this week. Vanilla, so you got Tom Brady. You're bouncing back and forth a little bit with him and Eli Manning, but Brady had a great year for you. Your wide receiving core. Overall, I really think Cobb was kind of a disappointment. Eric Decker, he was great for, I don't know where you drafted him. Let me see if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like Decker was about a 9th round pick, so great value for him. Possible keeper next year, maybe. I know you already have DeAndre Hopkins, but so Decker, man, he scored a touchdown almost every week this year. He was consistent. Perhaps the best thing that could have happened for the Jets this year was that guy punching Geno Smith and knocking him out, because Decker has 9 touchdowns. So in 13 games, he's only not scored 4 times. 1, 2, 3. Oh, actually, he's only not scored 3 times, because he did miss a game due to injury. Hopkins was great pretty much all year long. Unfortunately, he was in a bad matchup for you this week and couldn't really do too much. Forte, hit or miss. He was battling injuries. Can't forget about, Carlos Hyde. You remember back in week 1, he started off great. He had 2 touchdowns, well over 100 yards. Let me take a quick look. Yeah, he had 168 yards and 2 touchdowns in week 1. Unfortunately, that was pretty much it for his entire season. He only had one other good game where he was over 90 yards and a touchdown. Everything else, he was under 10 points for you. And he actually hasn't played since October. So that was a tough break for you, trying to juggle those losses. David Cobb has been out pretty much all year. Let's see. Tough with your tight ends. Jordan Cameron, you picked up. I don't know if you drafted or at some point you picked up Vernon Davis. Not much production from them. You've been having Jets defense though, great pretty much all year long, consistent. But just having tough problems finding a flex player for you. You bounced it between Tavon Austin, Deshaun Jackson. Couldn't find a way to get Forte in there. Couldn't find a way to flex Sproles. That Carlos Hyde injury. And can't forget here Chris Johnson. Great pick. I'm pretty sure you drafted him. He actually, unfortunately, he is now injured on IR. Not because he got shot. He just got hurt. But he was doing great for you all year long. That was a big loss. So Hyde and then Chris Johnson, two big losses for you where it's tough to fill in those spots with productive running backs when they're so few and far between. I said you had Sproles and Forte in your running back position, and you're bouncing with between wide receivers in your flex. So it was tough to really get all the value from some of your players. Said Sproles is just like Woodhead, where you're not going to get a whole lot of value out of him unless he's in the flex, which you can say that about a lot of running backs. But, Chris Johnson was a great running back, because he didn't really do too much other than run the ball. But it just wasn't quite meant to be. Vanilla, you had a pretty solid season. You were up near on the top of the standings all year long, if I remember correctly. Just take a quick look at your schedule here. Vanilla. Some may already have forgotten that you started the season 6-1. Unfortunately for you, you finished the regular season, 8-5, right? Yeah, so you were 6-1, then you went to 8-5, so you were 2-4 over the last half of the season. That didn't help you out. You lost to a lot of playoff teams. Went on a slide. So that 3-game slide in weeks 8 to 10, that hurt you. Dropped down. I mean, you still finished 4th in the regular season, but your point totals were slowly trickling downwards. So those injuries at some key positions really hurt you. Not much you can do about that. Just ask Detling. Said all in all, you really you got a good team out of the draft. Just had some bad things go your way the last half of the season, injury-wise, and a couple guys who just didn't produce as well as expected. But 4th place, making the playoffs, you can't complain about that. But you can complain about getting knocked out in the first round. So, as for Vanilla, you finish here, 8-5. Good season. We'll hopefully see you again next year. Thanks for a good year. There's not much that I can do. I can't really criticize because you did well. Said both of you guys who got eliminated this week, every team who made the playoffs, I can't remember if it was Brian or Kevin that mentioned in the podcast last week. Every team who made the playoffs deserved to be there because they had good, solid regular seasons. Good lineups too, so like I said a little bit ago, we can't all be the winner. Only one of us. So unfortunately for Vanilla Jeff and Chips my boy Jay, we say goodbye to you after week 14. Good seasons, but just not quite enough. So, this leads up to week 15, where we will have the 1 and 2 seeds coming off their byes. And the number 1 seed will get the lowest remaining, which is the Springfield Isotopes, while Possum Magic, like I said, will go up against the Demise Hooligans. Possum Magic, on the ropes, kind of. He, as we all know, he's been hit with injuries even during the bye week. His team didn't do too good. Demise has been on a roll. He has actually, I think, won 8 games in a row now. So how long? The winning streak can only go to 10. At least one of us needs to try and end that winning streak, or else he is going to run all the way to the Tonto Bowl championship. So good luck to Possum Magic this week, trying to end that streak. It's going to be a tough challenge. A lot of the matchups aren't great for you. You're plugging in some guys who are very hit or miss. So we'll see. Like I said, injuries. You used all your moves a long time ago. That's always a risky proposition. And as for Demise Hooligans, said he also had a 200 point last week, so it could very possibly trail off this week, and maybe have a letdown. While Possum said you kind of had a down week last week, so maybe for you this will be a bounce back for you, for your team at least. So both matchups are going to be good. Isotopes versus the Rook. Quick look here. Projected points, fairly close. Just good, good solid plays up and down each lineup. The biggest standout here, I think clearly, is going to be Odell Beckham Jr. going against the Carolina Panthers defense. That could be tough for you. But everything else looks like it should be pretty good for both guys. So this could be a high-scoring, rock'em sock'em affair. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to the challenge, taking down the number 1 seed, possibly, or getting taken down once again by the Rook this year. So we got 2 really good matchups this week. Hopefully, we will have 1 really good matchup next week. So good luck to the last remaining 4 teams. Said, looking forward to the podcast this week, see what they'll have to say about previewing the Tonto Bowl semifinals. And these matchups on paper look like they're going to be solid, so hopefully they are just as competitive and fun to watch as it looks like they are going to be. Let's see. Isotopes matchup won't be decided, Isotopes and the Rook, until after Monday night, because it's Lions versus Saints, and let's see, nobody from those teams on the Rooks lineup. As for Demise and Possum, that matchup won't be decided either, because it'll come down to Matthew Stafford on Monday night. So Possum and the Rook will both be finished on Sunday, while Demise and the Isotopes will be hoping to at least be in the driver's seat going into that game and not needing, either already having a solid lead or being within enough points to maybe pull it out on Monday night. So I see Demise, you also have Tim Hightower. Feels like it's 2008 all over again with seeing his name in here. Tim Hightower and Sean Drone, or John, or however you pronounce his name. But anyway, I will let the previewers do the previewing. These are going to be 2 good matchups. So that's pretty much it for this week. Goodbye to, again, Vanilla and Chips My Boy. Thank you both for good seasons. Looking forward to you guys coming back even with a chip on your shoulder next year and looking to improve on your efforts this year in 2016. So that's about it. Good luck to the Rook versus the Isotopes and Possum versus Dub C. Looks like they're going to be great matchups. So looking forward to seeing you guys here, and we will recap those ones next week. Hopefully, I will still be as happy and pleased as I am now. So, speaking of, that reminds me that I talked a little bit about the Devontae Freeman effect being something that I really have found enjoyment and seeing happen all year long. Another thing that's really made me laugh this year, because it's just been pure chance, but it's actually gone on at least up to this point, ever since the Isotopes were 3-6 and on the brink of playoff elimination. Kevin and the Dub C Hooligans have been calling for our heads, like begging someone to please knock them out of the playoffs. Just knock them out. Knock out the Isotopes, please. Every week he's begging for it, and it has not happened yet. And once the Isotopes got into the playoffs, made their way in, I said, better watch out, Kevin, because the Isotopes are coming for you. Still bitter a little bit from that 232 to 220 point defeat earlier in the season. Looking to get some revenge on that. Like I said, the way the playoff seedings ended up, the only way that the Isotopes and the Hooligans could rematch each other would be in Tonto Bowl 13. So we'll have to see if that plays itself out, which said we've been that little the comments have been going on for it's been 6 weeks now. So it's still going on and able to go on thanks to the way the matchups have fallen. I find it very amusing that it could, 6 or 7 weeks later after it started, we could end up with a possible Isotopes versus Hooligans championship where, Kevin, put your money where your mouth is. You're the one who's calling for the Isotopes to get knocked out. Maybe, just maybe, you're going to end up being the team that has to do it yourself. Roll up your sleeves and do it yourself. But we'll see. Both matchups are going to be tough this week. So there's no guarantee that that's going to happen, especially we're each going up against the 1 seed and 2 seed respectively. So, like I said, I find enjoyment in those little things that have consistently happened and stayed true week after week. Said Kevin begging for everybody to knock out the Isotopes, and here we are on the brink of a rematch. So, will it happen? Will it not happen? Who knows? Getting back here into my end of preview or end of recap ranting. So, all right, everyone. Thank you again, Chips and Jeff, for a good year. Dub C and the Isotopes. Congratulations to Dub C for moving on. And we'll see what happens in what should be a very entertaining Week 15 semifinals. All right, good luck to everyone this week, but sorry, Gags. Good luck, especially to me.